Everybody, my name's Ed. Okay, so we're going to do another random comics walkthrough. This one's going to be Crazy #1 from 1979. You look closely here. There's no price on here. It says bonus. We're going to get to that in a second. Why that is. I got this. I'm not sure where I got this. I got this in, I'm pretty sure I got this in like a cutout bin or something, probably for like 25 cents or something like that. But look out, world. Marvel goes mad. So basically what's going on is back in the 60s, Marvel used to do this spoof magazine called Not Brand Echh, and it's basically just doing comedy spoofs of, they did some movie and TV stuff, but it's mostly them doing superheroes, and it's mostly them making fun of their own superheroes. So, you can see these older versions of, Spider-Man and the X-Men and Captain America and whatnot. So the comic book only lasted like, I don't know, whatever, 3 or 4 years or something. It started in the late 60s, ran till about maybe, I don't know, 69, 70, something like that. Then around 72 or so, they did a few issues that reprinted those Not Brand Echh comics, but they reprinted under the title of Crazy. 2 or 3 of those issues came out. And then after that, Marvel did their actual, Mad Magazine style, satire magazine that was called Crazy as well. And that was more in the vein of Mad Magazine, making fun of pop culture things, movie things, black and white, oversized comic magazine. Now, to that, occasionally Mad Magazine would put out Mad Super Special or something like that, and in there would be these bonus comics that were reprints of the Mad comic book from the 50s. So that's what this is. This is them, Marvel, imitating Mad Magazine, doing that format. So you would get, let's say this is Mad Magazine or whatever. So you would get Mad Magazine Super Special, and inside, bonus comic. And so, you would get this extra thing in there like this, right? And then you get the rest of the magazine. So this was Marvel imitating that by reprinting something that was a reprint of comics they put out in so it's the late 70s. They're reprinting a comic book they put out in the early 70s, which was a reprint of something they put out in the late 60s or whatever. So just to kind of look inside here. This is also pretty interesting too, because they reprinted the stories out of order. So here's the original X-Men. This story should be, the overall comic is basically about Forbish Man, their little mascot here. He's got the pot over his head. He's got the long under or whatever, trying to join these different super groups. So he tries to join the Avengers, the X-Men, Nick Fury's group. And was there somebody else? Well, we'll get to that. But here you get the X-Men, the original X-Men in their old costumes, like Zapsville, right? You get this kind of over-the-top, just goofy, crazy, sort of cartoony art. Let's see here. Stan Lee, Gary Friedrich, Tom Sutton. It's got to be Tom Sutton doing the art here. And they're in the danger room. Meanwhile, outside, Magneto and the Toad are planning to attack. But Forbish Man shows up, and just due to his bungling ineptitude, he ends up defeating Magneto. And there's lots of background gags, pop culture gags. Here, thing is, a lot of these gags would actually be out of date by the time that this had come out. So here, Wanda uses her magic, inadvertently turns Quicksilver into a turtle, and he says, "Oh well, maybe I can join a famous recording group," meaning the Turtles. Thing is, the Turtles were defunct by 1979, right? So they asked Forbes Man to join the group. Hey, can you reprogram the Danger Room for us? And he does it, but it's even worse than it was before. So they kick him out. He goes home. He's like, "Oh, I can't join any. No group wants me. No team wants me." And then you see Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. The Beatles ask him to join. Nobody really famous would really want us. And he walks off. And here's Paul. You know it. He'd have looked glitzy on my next album cover. My sweet lord, are you trying to tell us something? Moral, there's hardly a group that lives happily ever after. Because Apple is the name of the Beatles group, or album, I should say, record company. Yeah. These have kind of faded away. These are posters of like pop idols. There's Scott Baio on here, Susan Anton, Hervé Villechaize, Farrah Fawcett. I can barely see it in real life here. I'm not sure if it's going to pick up on camera. But that should have been the last story. For some reason, they reprinted it as the first story. Here is the first story, where Forbes Man decides that if he really wants to make it a superhero, he should join a big team. So he sneaks out of his aunt's house on to join the Revengers. Here's a gag. Oh, here. You can tell. This is a late 60s version of the Avengers. So it's Hawkeye, Hank Pym as Goliath, Black Panther, and the Wasp. I don't think Vision had even joined the group yet, but this is the version that they're going with. So, here's another funny thing. A few years back, when Brian Michael Bendis was still writing the Avengers, he actually did have like a group of disaffected super people. It's Wonder Man, it's Bill Foster, Giant Man's nephew, whatever, attacked the Avengers, and he did call them the Revengers. Okay, good. Some more wacky goings on here. And this art here is by Gene Colan. So it's really interesting to see him draw in this kind of, like I said, cartoony Will Eisner, what have you type style, after he's been known for so long doing this kind of dark, moody art for stuff like Daredevil and Tomb of Dracula and whatnot. Let's see here. Because it's Kang the Time Conqueror. He actually sends Forbes Man back into the past. There's Fred and Barney from the Flintstones. And I think that's Alley Oop, right? Anyway, he gets back to modern times, but he accidentally sends the Avengers away in time. And here, Knock Furious, Agent of Sheesh, and the Dragon Clyde Forbes. Now, this art is by Marie Severin. who is actually related to John Severin. It's, you know what? I'm not going to remark on a couple of things here. Let's hear. But here, this is kind of funny. A little background gag here. Here's Crazy Cats and Ignatz. You know, Crazy Cat's getting a brick thrown at her. Ram has come and evil is on the run. It would be interesting if somebody could get a hold of the rights to this comic that Marvel had put out at that time. I don't know if they can reprint them, or if another company gets a hold of them, they could reprint those stories. But that might be interesting. I mean, Marvel has lost the licensing rights, but they can still use the concept of the Space Knights, and they can also use, I think it's because it's probably just such a generic idea, and the dire rates, they came up with. So those dire rates still show up in other comics. But all right, anyway. But it was a pretty fun comic from what I remember, being written by Bill Mantlo, and the art was mostly by Sal Buscema. So anyway, Nick Fury. This is actually pretty fun because Marie just goes all out with it. It's just completely silly, completely over top, really energetic and kinetic. So they basically send Forbish men into this Chinese restaurant to see if he can find that communist spy, Yellow Paw. No, Yellow Paw. All right. It's falling apart my hands. So, wacky dare doings. He actually fails because he falls in love with Swanee, who of course is that kind of old school dragon lady type trope or stereotype, or however you want to put it. He fails, so Nick himself goes in. All right. Kind of takes care of everything. Yep. And Swanee was Yellow Paw all along. And here's the last panel of the story. Blah, 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 blah. Don't come back. I've been given a dishonorable discharge from Sheesh. That means if the X-Men won't have me, then it's back to being an unpaid, non-entity mercenary Marvel. But don't give up yet. There's one more charismatic chapter to go, which would be that first chapter we had here. I don't know. I have no idea why that choice was made. But, okay, so that was just kind of a fun little look at a fun little thing here. You got to build them to believe them. Legos. All right. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a good day.